Give the word, my lord, and Whiterun is yours.
Skyrim Civil War is supposed to feel like a massive, ongoing conflict that ravages the land, but in the game, due to multiple limitations, this feeling falls a bit short. So today, we're fixing that with mods and turning the Civil War into a real war that is massive, detailed, and feels immersive. Not only with bigger battles, but with dynamic changes to the world that react to your presence. Now we're going through a full mod setup that transforms the Civil War from the ground up, and first we need to add some scale to the battles. We know that there's a war happening, but we don't really see it much in the game, which is why the first mod we're using is Immersive Patrols. This classic mod has still gotten updates, and it brings some real difference to the game by adding Stormcloak and Imperial patrols all over the province, as well as Thalmor agents and Dawnguard warriors. These patrols may cross paths, and if that happens, a battle ensues, which you can join in to help the party you're siding with. And when the war is concluded, the losing faction patrols completely disappear from roaming the land. Here I'm using the heavy version of the mod, which adds the highest amount of NPCs, but there are also the main version and light version available. Another mod that reasonably scales up the Civil War is Crowded Civil War. Inspired by crowded streets, this mod populates the battlegrounds with new generic NPCs, soldiers, officers, archers, and mages to make these battles feel more substantial. With this mod, there are about 30 to 50 new NPCs in city battles and 10 to 20 in fort sieges, but you can adjust these numbers in the mod configuration menu. And of course, the major mod adding some serious scale to the Civil War is Open Civil War, a mod that unlocks Civil War cut city battles and puts them in an open strategy wargame, recreating this questline from the initial quests onward. As you might know, quests related to the Civil War are kind of seriously bugged in Skyrim, and adding a mod of this scale might be the cause of some additional oddities, but I've decided to include it anyway, for it's a good one regardless. In this mod, there are a lot of features, majorly the one where you can start the additional city battles on your own, but I would recommend just playing the Civil War questline as usual and enjoy the additional battles the natural way. The enemy might try to conquer a hold your faction is currently claiming, and these battles can also happen off-screen without your involvement in them. Basically, this mod makes the Civil War feel more of a strategy board game where you can join in at any time and fight for Skyrim, whether it's for calling the Stormcloak rebellion or fighting for the independence of the province. I should also mention that there's also a useful addition to Open Civil War, Serious Civil War Defense for OCW. This mod adds a bit of beef and bandages around the mod by expanding the battles with full journal entries, quest objectives, and prompts by courier. Most importantly, when the enemy begins invading a hold your side has claimed, you will be delivered a letter that informs you of the situation, and there are full journal entries for each variant of the siege quests. It also adds a little bit of new dialogue when you're reporting in to a commander to defend a hold, and there are also some minor tweaks to every siege, as well as other bug fixes and updates to the original mod. With the previous mods, the conflict feels now larger in scale, but we also need to make it more believable. We need mods that make the Civil War feel like a real, ongoing situation and not just a static questline. Now, the battles are won and lost around Skyrim, and the end result can be witnessed all over the province with Civil War battlefields. This mod adds the much needed sight of past battlefields that really give off the feeling that a civil war is real and happening in this country, and that it has real consequences on people's lives. These battlefields are a grim sight. Carts on fire, corpses lying motionless on the ground, ships and their men drowned in the sea of ghosts, flags waving sadly by Kain's winds. And if this mod isn't enough, I'd also recommend adding Skyrim Battle Aftermath, which is another mod that adds Civil War battlefields throughout Skyrim in 4 key locations. These places have seen it all, from the Battle of the Pale, where Stormcloaks discovered the Imperial camps and attacked them in the dead of the night, to the ambush of the valley, where a convoy was trapped in the steep road and met their gruesome end that day. Just a quick mod that supplements the Civil War ambience perfectly is Ambient Warfare. This is an audio mod that adds those ambient sounds of war to exterior regions in Skyrim with 21 new sounds that disrupt the peace and fills up the missing gap of audio-based immersion. Now, in Vanilla Skyrim, you won't necessarily even notice when you're entering another hold within the province, and our next mod in the list, Hold's Border Guards, aims to change that. This mod adds proper border outposts in each hold of Skyrim, and they are guarded by the current owner of the hold based on the status of the Civil War. In total, there are now 31 border gates that cover all main roads between the holds and neighboring provinces, and as the war progresses, more guards appear to each crossing. This mod definitely brings the Civil War closer to the player, and it makes it easier to distinguish the prevailing affiliation of each hold. I think Immersion has a lot to do with character dialogue, and with the mod Rebel North, the Stormcloak side of it is exceptionally well covered.
I miss my ma's stew. Want to see your family again? Win the war so that we can go back.
This is a dialogue expansion mod that adds about 500 new lines, including interesting interactions, camp banter variants, and an expansion of the Greymane brothers' plot to make them an active participant in the Civil War.
Thorold and I have been talking. This injustice, his suffering was but one of the many crimes of the Thalmor and their Imperial lackeys.
You can ask each of the Stormcloak soldiers on what are their motivations to fight, and also Galmar Stonefist, Ulfric's right hand, has more dialogue on his personal life, plans and motives.
Aye, he's my brother, and I don't much take pride from admitting that. But he and I share a father. What can I do but to keep him alive?
There are 4 new voice types too, to make the voices more diverse. And just to make it clear, this new dialogue is AI generated, but the lines have been written by the hand of the mod author. Now, the Civil War has been concluded, and Skyrim has been either liberated from the Empire or reunited with it. But under the surface, things can never be the same as they were before the war. There are still enemy encampments around the province, and with Civil War Aftermath, we're taking the fight to the remaining Imperials or Stormcloaks and their commanders. This mod allows you to destroy these camps, burn them properly down, and end the lives of the previously invincible commanding officer. And you will be rewarded for it too, as the courier will bring you a good amount of gold on the behalf of your side's general. You can also cause this ruckus during the war and not strictly after, but that's up to you and your bloodthirst to choose. After the Civil War, Siege Damage Repairs is another mod that makes perfect sense to add for some added immersion to the aftermath of the war. Many of the cities that were fought in are in complete disrepair, with the houses looking super rough from all the fighting and sieging. Now, with this mod, you will be notified that the city repairs are being planned, and donations are accepted in the Temple of the Divines in Solitude. You're then able to hasten the reparations by helping to fund the project, and then you can spot a crew of skilled workers doing their magic or handiwork on the poorly looking houses. Not much different from supporting me and my channel on Patreon. Do it today to watch some fun extra content and join the private Discord server. Tempting. Finally, a massive DLC-sized addition to the Civil War questline that we simply must add is of course the amazing The Second Great War. This quest mod focuses on the war's aftermath when the Aldmeri Dominion seizes the moment to strike on Skyrim's soil right when her people are already weakened by the previous bloodshed.
In the last few days, the Aldmeri Dominion have begun a surprise invasion of Cyrodiil.
The questline begins after the Civil War is concluded, and you will receive a letter from the courier which starts a series of missions and side quests leading up to the conclusion of the war. Now, the real question is, will you turn your cloak and join the powerful Aldmeri Dominion, or do you still have enough strength left in your veins to fight for Skyrim once again? There are 4 different endings in total where your allegiance's victory will prevail, or alternatively, there's a possibility you have to succumb your rule to the other side. We still have one more category to go, which is eloquently titled Miscellaneous. I know, I'm a visionary. Now, the first mod here is Reinforced Civil War Camps, which you might remember from one of my earlier videos, or just because you've downloaded each of J. Jerem's incredible location overhauls. Anyway, this mod is indeed a location overhaul that touches each of the permanent Civil War military camps across Skyrim, featuring some neat custom-made models. Now, these camps are properly secured with wooden fortifications, and there are scouting and archer towers, and some static weapon racks. These added details really sell the illusion of a well-equipped military camp, and they look really believable and intimidating. No more camping out in the open. There is also a patch available for Civil War Aftermath if you want both of these mods to work together. You know, I already featured Rebel North, which added Stormcloak dialogue, and Civil War Lines expansion could be right after it in the immersion category, but I wanted to leave it for later to spare some retention, so here we are. This mod is another one that adds additional dialogue to the Civil War participants, both Imperials and Stormcloaks.
Ulfric, the man is a lie. All he holds in his heart is lust for the throne.
With the mod, they will react to current events, their environments, you, the player, their enemies, friends, and frenemies, and more. In total, there are about 500 new lines that are all repurposed from the vanilla dialogue, so no AI used whatsoever.
We are the true sons and daughters of Skyrim, and Ulfric. He is the truest of us all.
This is a must-have mod, I would say, and essential, so grab it if you haven't already. Some of the rewards you get from the Civil War questline are quite less than exciting. There's not much logic to them, as they're randomly generated from a pool of possible loot, and that's where Imperial Rewards comes in handy. The mod comes with 4 new Empire-style swords that you will receive as a reward for your efforts, and General Tullius will also wield one himself. Ricke and other legates and the Penitus Oculatus officers will also wield these swords, and Behrand, the blacksmith in Solitude, will now sell Imperial bows and vanilla Imperial swords. Simple, sweet, and fitting. Finally, we have something that sure makes the central characters of the Civil War questline appear incredible, and that is Beef Unending Civil War NPC Replacers. As its title suggests, this mod overhauls the visuals of the Imperials Tullius, Ricke, Harvar, as well as Ulfric, Galmar and Ralof from the Stormcloak side. These faces look obviously handsome and beautiful while being battle-hardened and age-appropriate, with a great resemblance to their original faces. The remaining question is, do you side with the Imperials or the Stormcloaks? Now, I want to thank my generous patrons for making this video possible. Loaf, Ryan Ulrich, Frank Brackett, The Panicked Monk, Kenneth Pedersen, Billy Duncan, Onshore Flyer, Arik Slagenwhite, Ghost Melon, Angrius Windstorm, Manut Kopp, Amenity, Don Wright, Krakenhelm, Simon Wakes, J. Michael, Terry Ellis, Nocturnal Emissary, Didermis, and Victor. Phew! Thanks for watching and see ya!